Hi, I'm Nick,
And I'm Miki.
and this is Puzzles, a How I Met Your Mother Re-Rewatch.
Each week, we'll be breaking down episodes of How I Met Your Mother, mostly spoiler-free, celebrating the show,
Critiquing it,
asking what aged well.
and what aged poorly.
Why is it called Puzzles, Nick?
That's the puzzle. This is episode 5, The Ides of Marshall.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, Miki.
I'm so happy to be here. How are you?
I'm great. Just eyes are very itchy, but I'm hanging in there.
Spring allergies.
Yes, it's terrible.
I don't know how you survived Atlanta.
Hard. It was hard. Although it's been worse here in some ways because I've think, oh, things are fine, it's better now, and then I go off the Zyrtec, and then it all comes back. So trying to balance that and
Yeah,
go back home tomorrow.
poor thing.
Anyway,
What's been new with you?
just enjoying the weather. It's finally warm out in Boston. What's up? What's new with you?
Husband was traveling for a couple days, as you know. I think you knew that, for work. So it's just
I don't
me
think I
and the
did, but
kid. Maybe I didn't. This would happen in college all the time, listeners, where I would just assume I've told Nick things because we were close enough that it seems that I would have told him, and therefore I wouldn't tell him stuff that was actually kind of
mhm.
significant.
Yeah, it became a problem.
Yeah, it did. But anyway, yeah, so that was going on, and then work was just crazy, and then my husband was out of town, so I was single momming it for a couple days, and yeah, my kid was extra. So we got to Saturday night and we had this amazing date planned out. We got into a Michelin star restaurant in Nashville that it's
Huh.
like one of those places where you have to like fight for months to get reservations and just on a whim, like, or not even a whim, we just like knew a guy basically who got us in. And so
Nice, nice.
Mama needed a date. I told Nick before we started recording,
Mhm.
like, we were gonna, try another funky How I Met Your Mother themed drink this week, and I was like, "I had quite enough to drink last night." So, I'm not a
Yeah, we'll
huge
save those
drinker,
for a
especially
special
these
episode.
days. Yeah, we'll just get trashed, like, one recap episode, like a season recap, and we'll have a Tootsie Roll, we'll have the Thanks-Teeny, which we're gonna talk about today. I'm really concerned now, what are these other disgusting cocktails that are gonna come up in the series?
We'll see. I don't remember that many of them, but we'll find out.
Maybe they're just heavily loaded. But yeah, I had a really, really nice night out, had a good Mother's Day, so I'm feeling a little revitalized, ready to get into my
Mm,
week. And I'm
great.
excited for this, of course.
Anything new you're watching this week?
I watched the first episode of Andor.
You did?
I did
Okay,
because
what'd you
I
think?
honestly, it didn't grip me, but I
So,
assume Go ahead.
yeah, it starts a little slow. You sort of gonna experience the world, understand the characters, and then things are gonna start happening. So if you get to the end of
When
episode 3,
Okay.
you will kind of like see, okay, I understand where this is going. I understand why this is hooking people, and then that should be enough to get you to the next big thing. Episode 6. So,
I know a lot of shows I really like either have, a kind of a slow start or a really bad so, like, season 1 of Buffy, I would never start anybody on, even though it's one of my favorite
mm,
shows of all time. So I know you spoke highly enough of the show that I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna give it another couple episodes."
so I think, a lot of shows, I think they're slow kind of because they are trying to fill time, I think, in a
Mm,
lot of cases. For Andor, though, I think it's intentional to, like, give you time to, like, get used to the characters in the normal situation, come to appreciate them before
mhm.
throwing them into the fire pit.
Kind of just, like, acclimatize me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Alright,
So
well,
the way to
I can
watch is,
stick it
like,
out.
kind of like 3 yeah, so it's, like, kind of like 3 episode arcs you're gonna see over the series.
Okay. And there've been 2 seasons so far, right?
Yeah, well, the 2nd season is about to end this week, and it's the last season. 'Cause
Oh,
it
okay.
so this character is one of the stars of Rogue One, the movie,
Mhm.
and so that's kind of like the capstone of his story. So the series is leading up to the movie, essentially. Have you
Okay.
seen it?
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, the movie was hit or miss in places, but the show is a lot better, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of a short series.
Uh,
But, I mean, I would rather have, 2 really strong seasons of something rather than let something die with dignity.
yeah. Well, the thing that the creator said was he was fighting against time with the lead actor's face because,
Face?
he's supposed to be playing a younger character, but, like, if it was gonna go on longer than 2 seasons, that's gonna be, like, 10 years of, like, making stuff because of the cycles of these shows, right? So, it
Well,
probably
this is
wouldn't have lasted that long.
clearly not directed by whoever directs Stranger Things,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
because the kids are, like,
are they still doing it?
married. Well, they're supposed to because the most recent season was, like, the first half of the last season, so there's supposed to be another half of a season, but they I don't know why they have these enormous gaps between the seasons. Like, 11, she's an adult who is married.
Is
We're gonna
she
have to
married in the show?
No, like, in real life.
Yeah,
She's a
yeah.
child. She's, like, 14 in the show.
Oh, man.
Have you been watching anything?
Yeah, so Andor, of course, I'm finishing up.
Mhm.
Also, I discovered Atlanta. Have you seen that?
Oh, I wanna see that because I really like Donald Glover.
Yeah, see, it's really good. It's, like, artistic. So I was in Atlanta for grad school, for at Emory
Mhm.
University. Definitely a different part of town than what's be depicted in the series, but it's fascinating to see, that, view of things. It's really well done, it's funny, it's moving at times, it's almost an anthology series of this group of people's lives, and I'm only through just about the end of season 2 right now, and there are, I think, a couple more seasons,
And this is
but
over,
yeah.
right? The show?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, that's good
And
to hear
also
that it's, well, worth watching, it sounds like.
yeah, yeah, and it's really easy watch. Although I maybe wouldn't recommend watching it with kids in the room.
Yeah, we probably watched way too many inappropriate things with Kiki in the room, and we kinda had to knock that off.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
gonna start repeating things soon.
well, you know what? Last week or the week before, fortunately, it was my fault. She said her first swear word because, to be fair, so yeah, we were driving back from the zoo, and this guy almost sideswiped us, just came into our lane without
Oh,
warning.
jeez.
So I went, "Shit," and then Kiki looks and goes, "Shit."
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Anyway, so I've also been rewatching Station 11.
don't know what that is.
So it's a HBO series, or I think Max technically series that actually aired, I think, early stages of pandemic, which is ironic because it's about a pandemic,
Uh-huh.
and it's another post-apocalyptic show, but it's strangely hopeful about the apocalypse in this series because the concept is like the flu killed like maybe like 90% of the population and people are still around, but it's not like the the world is in chaos. People are living just without technology. There's
Mm,
not like zombies roaming around. There's no more like the flu itself is gone. It's just people making life, and it's focusing on a troupe of Shakespearean actors who are going around kind of Roma like to visit towns and then put on plays, and their costumes are made of like discarded remains that of like clothes and coats and things that they cobble together. And but there's this weird like aspect to it, kind of surrealism about this like astronaut from the comic book that was made by a friend of the main character before the pandemic started. It's weird and beautiful in the way, and it's
hmm.
relatively short. It's just one season. That's it. So I think it's a good show. I recommend it.
Okay, what was it called?
Station 11, HBO Max.
I'll add that to my very long list.
Yeah, if you ever want something, I mean, there are some dark parts of it, but like overall, it's kind of a hopeful view.
I like that, and it sounds
Yeah.
maybe a little more realistic, a little sensationalized version of, what a post-apocalyptic reality would be like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's more like civilization kind of is gone, but like people are still around and they're just being normal people. It's not
Mhm,
like there's massive danger around, like Fallout series
mhm.
or Last of Us.
Mhm. Which, we're waiting until, like, the season's done, and then we're gonna watch it all at once, which I don't know if that's the best way to go about it, but, that'll be done soon,
Yeah,
right?
it works. Yeah. So shall we get into the show?
Yeah, and you're going first this time.
Yeah, so I am covering episode 8 of season 1, The Duel. This one aired on November 14th, 2005. I just want to call out two guest stars from this episode. There's a hostess of a Chinese restaurant named Miki Mia. She's Japanese,
No
playing
way.
a Chinese woman, which, common in Hollywood. She's only been in a few small roles between 2005, 2007. But then there was Robin's date, Kevin, who is Martin Starr, and I did not
Can I
recognize him at all
guess?
in this role.
He
Sure.
looked familiar to me, and it just occurred to me, I'm not good at guessing or recognizing celebrities' faces. Is he Guilfoyle?
He is, yeah, from Silicon Valley.
Oh, I got it! I got it!
Yeah, that was his first big show. He was in a lot of, like, smaller roles before that, but then he's, like, more recently in a show called Party Down, which I haven't seen, but I've heard of, and then Tulsa King, which I have not heard of. But he's funny in Silicon Valley. I like that show.
Mhm.
It's actually a good rewatch every once in a while. I think especially because 'cause I'm at a startup, so it's slightly adjacent, but not really.
Oh, yeah. You probably relate a little bit. I really love oh god, the guy who owns the house of what was his name?
Hmm?
There was this rivalry between, Jin Yang and the guy who runs the house.
Eric,
Bachman?
Eric Bachman, yeah. Yeah.
They're my favorite part of the show. Oh, well, that's so exciting then, like, that was bugging me, and I wasn't gonna look it up because I knew you were.
I guess he's playing the type. He's a nerd in this show. So anyway, the recap of the episode. Lily officially moves in with Ted and Marshall, but Ted doesn't like change. Ted gets passive aggressive, and then this culminates in a sword fight over the apartment that leads to tragedy. But Ted was trying to hold on to the past, and Lily doesn't want the apartment anyway. Meanwhile, Barney invents the lemon law, and Robin tries to prove she isn't shallow.
Good recap.
Thank you. All right, so we start with the kids on the couch as always. They also get this montage of going to the apartment. Future Ted waxes poetic about all the apartments in New York. Kind of, it could be a little bit bloviating here, but he says one was really special. His, of course. We see a montage of Marshall playing video games. Lily's painting on the fire escape where she drops her brush and hits someone below her. And then Ted is making the coffee in Shocky, their metal broken down coffee maker. So is this the first time we see Lily painting?
I was wondering the same thing, I think so.
Yeah, so this is a big part of her character going forward. And I was looking at the bulletin board in their kitchen as Ted's making coffee because there's an angle of the kitchen we don't usually see. There's a flyer for unlimited long distance calls for only 4.95 a month, which is of course kids when you were when you had landlines back then, you had to pay the phone company extra to be able to call other area codes, or at least
You'd
to
have to
call
wait
them for.
after 9, right?
There were, yeah, I'm sure there were, like, deals where you could, like, do it at certain times, but, like, generally speaking, you had to pay extra for long distance calls, and you could pay, like, more a month to get discounts or whatever. Yeah, it was a whole weird thing. There's also a thing on the bulletin board says, "You don't know beans, Boston, Massachusetts."
Did you just
And it
zoom in?
says,
Because I can't see any of this.
well, I have a big 4K TV, so
Oh, and I've got it up here on my, iPhone.
yeah, that won't help. It's like a circle thing that says, like, "You don't know," and in the middle is, like, a thing of beans, I guess, and it says beans on it, and then below it says Boston, Massachusetts, or
Woo
Boston,
woo!
Mass. So,
Austin.
yeah, I'm based in Boston. Mickey used to live in Boston, so we have to call it out. Also, a few business cards. There's a random photo of 2 dudes who I can only assume are crew on the show, and then there's a poster for an art exhibit.
See, this might be why you're I mean, I'm an oblivious person anyway, but I think you have a slight advantage over me because I do often watch these on our TVs, but you're clearly getting like the super duper HD version of all this.
Yeah, I'm sitting, like, 4 feet away from my 65-inch TV. So Ted has to announce that he's plugging Shocky in so Marshall can save his game, and then Ted gets shocked, and the lights dim when he does this. I'm thinking, Ted, at least wear rubber gloves. Like, come on, be safe. Future Ted mentions the incredibly tacky swords over the piano, says he never wanted any of it to change, but that's not how life works. I also noticed that, like, next to the bathroom, on mounted on the wall, there's a Chinese checkers board.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, why would you put that as decoration? I guess it's just being whimsical, and
Well, they have
I can
some
get a feel
odd
for their style for the apartment, right? Like, they have all these random things, but, like,
it's eclectic. That's how I'm gonna put it.
I mean, do all these things seem like things that Ted and Marshall would decorate their apartments with? That's what I'm
Well,
wondering about.
maybe. The sword seems like the kinda thing a bunch of
Oh,
guys
absolutely.
would I mean,
But
well,
then I'm
here,
looking at the
we
things that,
have
like
swords on our wall, but well, on the
but then
shelves.
thinking about the other things.
I have been noticing some of the things in their apartments, and they there's no rhyme or there's no consistent
Mm.
aesthetic to it. I don't know what you would even call it, but I don't hate it.
No, no. It just feels like, what was the purpose of this? And I can't figure it out.
You and I were more intentional when we roomed together, I think.
Well, I mean, I can't say we did actually that much decorating,
We didn't have a
right?
lot of
I
wall
mean,
space, to be fair.
I think, like, now in my current apartment, I have, like, some, like, prints and art and things.
Yeah, you've
Uh,
got beautiful prints from, like, Dragon Con and stuff.
Also some photos I've taken that happen to be very good, so I
Oh.
looked into certain situations. Yeah, now the action begins. So we're in the apartment. It's 2005. Lily comes in with Robin with bags of Chinese takeout, and both are in shock. They were in Queens, and they decided to stop by Lily's apartment. We we drop back in on the kids on the couch, and the daughters are standing here because she's surprised that Lily had an apartment. And I think it was nice when they used to have more direct interaction with the kids during the episodes. I know they couldn't keep that up, but it was nice to have that, go back and forth here. And then answering the question, we jump back to Lily and Robin in Queens. They're walking down the street, and Lily's answering the question that the daughter asked to Robin. She hasn't been there in 3 months, but likes having her own apartment for independence. Likens it to having fat pants. Then I think that's some costly independence, though. I mean, you're paying for a whole apartment you're never at.
Oh, my husband did the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, honest to goodness, like, we were telling ourselves, "Oh, we're gonna have healthy boundaries," we're, like, only a few months into dating at this point, and he 100% went out, and got this apartment, and he spent maybe 4 days at that apartment, and then the next thing we knew, he somehow accidentally moved in with me, and he would go weeks at a time without going back, so we're like, "What a waste of money in hindsight."
You're right. Oh. But they get to the apartment, and it's a Chinese restaurant. So I have some zoning questions for how this happened.
I
And,
do too.
there's no way they renovated and installed a full kitchen in just a couple months and somehow left all of her furniture. But anyway, the hostess comes over and recognizes Lily from the photos and says she's much prettier in person. And then Lily says, I know the bangs were a mistake. But I don't really understand why bangs are so hated. Like where does
I
that really come
agree.
from?
I think it's like a trope, right? Like, you go through a breakup or something, and you give yourself bangs just for the sake of it seems like the kinda haircut you get just for the sake of changing things up, and often it ends up being kind of a mistake. I think bangs look adorable in some people. Our good mutual friend, like, remember she had bangs for a little while?
That's exactly what I was thinking about, actually.
I love them. She looked like Rory Gilmore.
Hmm. Anyway, well, listeners, write in if you think you can explain why bangs are so hated, and if we are wrong, change my mind.
Mhm. We're pro bangs,
So
clearly.
about bangs, yes. So Lily demands her stuff back. The hostess says it's in the back and offers to wrap it up to
Oh.
go. But what about her furniture and like the stuff that's on the dresser? Like that's apparently not. And we find out there's more stuff that wasn't getting back at the end. So I don't know how all this went down. Marshall maybe be able to figure it out. And the hostess says it's not actually her apartment anymore. And now, so we get this kind of back and forth where we go to the apartment where Ted and Marshall are asking questions, and then we go back to Queens where the questions are being answered by the action in the past scene. So Ted says she's making it up. Marshall says the building would have to give notice. The hostess comes back with months of mail bundled up in a to-go bag, saying they sent the notice 3 months ago. So about the same time Lily had last been there, and also makes a point of saying that they've been throwing out her magazines, suggesting that there were a lot. And Lily, you should at least forward your mail if you're not going to be there. Be responsible. So Marshall then says they legally cannot just toss you out in the street. And then Lily explains to the hostess that she didn't have a written lease, tells her to ask her landlady. She may be 98 years old, but she's dead, isn't she? And of course, we're supposed to think it was from old age, but the hostess says never even saw the bus.
I laughed so hard at that. We're terrible people.
uh, I love a good the death wasn't the way you think it was joke. Like, I think that's done a lot, and, I like it every time.
I like when humor gets just a little bit dark.
So back in the apartment, Lily doesn't know what to do, and Marshall's comforting her. Then Ted invites her to move in for real. It's not gonna change anything. And then we cut to McLaren's, where Ted, Barney, and Robin are at the booth, and Barney is disagreeing with Ted, saying it will change everything, and that Ted is screwed. Robin asks why a girl in the booth across the bar is checking Barney out. Barney says, "'Cause I look good." And then Ted and Robin just smile and leave it at that. Barney points out that one of them is gonna move out when they get married, so this is the start of that phase. Robin says she's sure they've talked about who gets the apartment, and Ted looks a little spooked and says, sure they have. And then in the apartment, we see past Ted and past Marshall playing video games, and Marshall brings it up. Ted says that's a hard problem. We should let future Ted and future Marshall handle it. Back in McLaren's, Ted says, damn it, past Ted. I admit sometimes I'll to myself, I'll say like past Nick and blame myself for making decisions. I like that construct. Barney explains that they'll be start edging Ted out. Robin says Barney is just being paranoid and then goes back to asking about the girl eyeing Barney. And Barney says he's actually sort of on a date with her. He found her online and he reads off his disingenuous profile about being ready for commitment. And he gives a great evil laugh here. And this is 3 years before his role in Dr. Horrible sang on blog, so he was getting pretty good at that before then.
Hey, do you think it got inspired by the Matchmaker episode?
Yeah, I think he was inspired. Barney is bummed out that his date actually wants the things that he says he wants in this fake profile, and he ends up recruiting Ted to get him out of the date with a fake emergency call. So, Mickey, have you ever done this or had this done to you? Do you think this like kind of like fake excuse to get out of a date?
I have done this to someone.
Really? Like
I
you've
have.
been their emergency person, or you've been the emergency E?
I was the person who I phoned a friend, like, "Help me get out of the situation." So the story was it was in Boston. I don't remember when in the timeline of me living in Boston this was, but there was this cute boy at the grocery store, who always flirted with me, and one day he invited me to come watch his band play, and so I was like, "Sure," and I went, and here's the thing, I am a punctual person. I like to show up. If you tell me come at 7, I'll come at 7. Uh,
Mhm.
he told me, let's say 8. I showed up at 8, and it was literally the bartender, and then it was the band setting up, and it was just me, and I walked in, and it was so uncomfortable, and he looked at me like, "Why are you here?" I'm thinking, "'Cause you invited me, and you told me to come at a certain time," but it was obviously such an awkward
Oh,
situation. I don't know if there was a misunderstanding. So I kinda just, like, hung around the bar for, like, a few minutes, and then I texted my mom and was like, "You gotta call me with a fake emergency because this is so weird and I don't know how to extricate myself from this." So, anyway, I had a roommate, from Kyrgyzstan, and so my mom called pretending but my mom really got into character, and she tried to do, like, a full Kyrgyz accent. Like, I won't do it because we'll get mail, but she was
yeah.
she was basically like, "Oh, Mickey, I'm so sick. You must come home." But she was doing it in this over the top, terrible Kyrgyz accent. So I started laughing, and I was, on the phone like, "Oh, you're terribly sick. I'm so sorry." But I'm like laughing, so I probably sounded like a horrible person laughing at my roommate for being sick. And then I was just like,
Oh
"Oh,
boy.
I gotta go," and I left. And so it worked.
Oh, good. You never followed up.
No, no questions asked.
Well, I'm glad it worked. Yeah, I don't think it's ever been done to me, and I've never done it. So Barney goes over to his date, and Robin and Ted resume talking about the apartment. Ted is worried it will be a fight. Robin asks if Ted always tries to avoid uncomfortable things, which Ted avoids by making a call to Barney. Robin asks to take over the call, though, and she acts really seductive. She goes, Aunt Kathy's got an itch that only you can scratch, big boy. But
Yeah, well,
Barney
she
sticks to his
pretends
role.
to be his aunt.
And Barney is doing a good job sticking to his role. He's, oh God, why did he think he could build his own helicopter? And Barney stammers to his date in distress, goes to leave, but then as soon as he's got the pole between him and his date, and I noticed that this is actually good stage direction. That's when he says like bye. So his date couldn't have seen him and go back to normal and say bye to his friends. And then he
Mhm.
goes back to acting and then leaves the bar saying, "Put it on my tab."
It
By the
was
way,
really funny.
who does
Yeah.
it was is putting things on a tab, is that a thing people do? Like, I know it's a common trope in, like, bars, like, you just, like, have a running tab that you pay every once in a while, but, like, Is that a thing
I've
people
never
can
done it.
do these days?
They're regulars, so maybe they have some sort of arrangement with, Carl or Wendy, but I've never been established enough anywhere, I think, to have a tab.
Yeah, but, like, it's like I guess maybe it made a little more sense when, like, credit cards were really big, like, because if you didn't have cash on you or something, and then you'd have to come back later to pay it off. But with a credit card, like, you should just pay it, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is a real thing.
I don't know, anyone listening, if you happen to have done this before or know someone who has, I'd be curious to know where or why. Anyway, so we, go to the apartment, and Ted is on the couch in the middle of the room with Lily painting off to the left, Marshall studying at the table. So Ted is, like, literally between the 2 of them, and Ted is drinking coffee, and he thinks it tastes great. Too great. Turns out they switched to Lily's coffee maker, and Shocky is in the trash. Ted confronts him about this by bringing the coffee maker out, and it's a nice touch that he has a hot pad underneath, and he's holding with the other hand like it's actually hot with his like just his fingers.
Oh, yeah, good acting.
Yeah, they actually are good actors on the show. So Marshall points out that the old coffee tasted rusty, and Ted unconvincingly says he was used to it. And Ted defends the shock by saying it wakes you up in the morning, and Marshall points out that's the job of coffee. Ted accepts this, but he's clearly getting uncomfortable. Cut to McLaren's. Ted and Barney and Robin are at the table, and Ted tells Barney he was right. Robin mocks Ted for being ridiculous, and Ted says it's not just a coffee maker. We go to the apartment again and see Lily finishing her painting, and they try to find a place for her in the apartment, but Ted doesn't want to move the swords to make way for the painting and suggests Marshall's room. That kind of puts off Lily and Marshall. Back in McLaren's, Robin advises Ted it's time for some healthy communication. And I'm noticing here they have like this Chex Mix at all the tables, which is interesting, but like seems like a good idea for people who are just drinking. Also better than peanuts, which I would hate. Barney says that's the worst idea, says it's time for a counterstrike to mark his territory, not like a dog, like buying something big. Barney then introduces the lemon law idea that he's had. So he's on a date, and you have like 5 minutes to decide to commit to an entire evening, and if not, no hard feelings. And kind of on the surface, that doesn't seem like such a terrible idea. Like people like nowadays will do like phone screening sometimes, but like if you meet on an app to like kind of get a feel of a person before like committing to a date. At the same time, if like no one's expecting it, it can be pretty rude, as we see in this episode,
Yeah,
especially the
I
way
don't
you do it.
that's the thing for me. I don't think this idea is inherently bad. I think Robin raises some good points later, and what I'll bring up later is, I think maybe there's a distinction here between attraction and compatibility. But yeah, I think the main thing to your point is, how do you go about delicately saying this to somebody after 5 minutes?
I think probably the better way if you were going to do something like this would be like to propose like a half hour coffee date and then optionally do more if you decide you're into each other. But like maybe something like that may be a more socially intelligent way to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So Barney goes over to his date, who introduces herself in a strong, is that a New Jersey accent, you think?
I think this is one of the boroughs, and this is Queens, maybe? It seems like a
Oh,
New
okay. I
York-based
don't.
accent.
Okay, it could be, yeah. And Barney looks over the gang. He's very pleased, and Ted nods at him. And he tells Katie she's about to be a part of history. We don't hear what he says next, but she storms off, and he yells after her to tell her friends. Cut to the apartment. Marshall's making sandwiches, and Lily says Ted's been acting weird. Ted carved his name into a block of cheese that Marshall's been using for the sandwiches, and Marshall says, "Yeah, well now it's Ed's." Although, I mean, Marshall, you probably should be more aware of not using your roommate's stuff, but okay. They've been living together for a long time, so maybe there's a previous agreement that they would share things, and Ted's just now being extra possessive. So
Mm.
Lily very perceptively thinks Ted's not cool with her moving in, but Marshall doesn't get it. He's confident that Ted will come talk to him when he's ready. Lily gives him a reality check though, and says they don't talk about anything, and he'll let it fester until he does something big and passive aggressive. There's a knock on the door. Marshall goes to open it while saying that Lily clearly doesn't know Ted, and it turns out there's a giant box delivered for Ted. And Lily gestures like, "There you go." Later on, we see Marshall just sitting on the couch with this giant British phone booth sitting next to it.
Question, who put that together? Like, like, so how sometimes you can hire people from, like, IKEA to not just deliver the furniture, but set it up. Was that the situation with this phone booth?
Well, I think it was intact in the big box. I think the idea was like it was shipped as a whole thing. Probably had someone like the delivery person probably like took the parts off and like unwrapped it. Like they did it with my couch actually, because it kind of arrived as one piece, but the movers like brought it in and then like took the box itself off, and then
Mhm.
it was up to me to actually like finish unwrapping it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a thing that just happens. And then Ted comes in, and then they start edging into a passive aggressive argument over it, leading to Marshall retaliating by taking swords down and putting the painting up in their place. Back at McLaren's, we catch Barney doing the lemon law again, then going to talk to Robin at the bar. Robin's defending the idea that it takes more than 5 minutes to really get to know someone, and that Barney is giving up on people too quickly. Which I think generally is true, but Barney is probably not being very selective about who he goes out with. So that's probably part of the problem, honestly.
Yeah, maybe for him, this is a more appropriate strategy because he's not looking to get to know somebody. It's really
That's
more
true.
superficial. And, like, I those things are relevant, I think, like, there's probably certain things that are gonna come up in the first 5 minutes that are a good indication, is this gonna go well long term? But he's not looking for long term, he's just looking for, "Can I be with this person 15 minutes?"
That said, he hasn't really shown a high degree of selectiveness overall for who he sleeps with. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe
True.
he just has his preferences.
It's like a numbers game. Well, I think we find out eventually it quite literally
Uh,
is a numbers game. But I guess even Barney has his limits.
Barney is daring Robin to go out with this nerdy looking guy at the end of the bar, and then Robin looks kind of scared about this, but she says, "For all I know, the guy's my soulmate." And Barney says, "Oh, bad move, Sherbatsky." And Barney does this, "Have you met Robin?" with the guy. Apartment again. Ted and Marshall are deciding to flip a coin instead of argue, but Ted is hesitating. He doesn't actually want the argument to end. I think that's it's kind of clear. He doesn't want a single definitive answer. Because flipping a coin would give a single clear answer, and that wouldn't actually resolve the problem.
Yeah, the conversation
Mm.
needed to be had regardless of what the outcome was.
Yeah. So they start to argue. Ted says that Marshall didn't want to live in the pre-war building because of allergies. Marshall retorts that allergy meds are now available over the counter, and he says, "Oh snap! What else you got?" Marshall says Ted doesn't need two rooms. Ted says the same, but Marshall says they might start a family. Ted says there's no way that happens while Marshall's in law school, or Marshall says it could be sooner. We're not that careful with our birth control.
Which some foreshadowing to my episode.
Good catch. I didn't actually realize that. And Marshall suggests that Barney wouldn't be a good roommate because he cooks naked. Disgusting, Barney.
Dangerous.
Yeah, you get oil on you, like, that's not good. Then Ted and Marshall pick up the swords, and they start hitting swords casually, while Ted still has the coin on his hand, and they're like keeps like, "Okay, flip it," and then they start fighting with swords, and we go to commercial break. Back from the commercial, they're sword fighting, but they're starting to have fun with this. I like the idea of having swords, like, I've sort of played with the idea of, like, getting, like, a reproduction, like, Zelda sword or LRTR sword, but I think what I would really like is instead of, like, letter opener sized replica swords, they'd be small, but, like, detailed and accurate, and then you could have, like, a bunch of them kind of all at once without, like, taking up a lot of space. But I've looked a lot, and I haven't seen anything like that. Like, the vendors at Dragon Con or anywhere, but
Yeah. That'd be pretty neat. I will say as a sword owner, I so last year we got some swords. I want to say they're machetes. I'm not a sword person, but we got a set of 3, like a little one, a baby sword, a mama sword, and a papa sword. And we got them at a Ren fair, and they're on one of our built-in shelves in the living room. And the first week we went out, we got a bunch of old watermelons. And remember that like fruit ninja game
Mhm.
where you yeah, we did real life fruit ninja in the backyard. We were chucking watermelons and cantaloupes and stuff at each other and just, like, going crazy with the swords. It was a lot of fun.
Why machetes?
I don't know, my husband wanted them, and I'm a really cool wife, so I allowed it.
Fair enough. Alright, so now we go to a science fiction themed restaurant, speaking of nerds. Robin's on the date there with the nerdy guy, and the waiter are wearing these alien costumes, and I know she's like clearly or he or she is clearly struggling to set down the drink in the right place with that costume. Robin seems to be Robin genuinely seems like she's trying to have a good time and give him a fair shot. Like it's about the bet, but it's not just about the bet. She
Yeah.
probably doesn't think it's gonna be a good match, but, like, she's giving it a fair go, I think. But he's very quickly showing why they're not gonna be compatible. She makes a joke about the future having ribs, and he deadpan says the future will most likely have be served in gel cap form, and that cows will have died out or be our leaders. But ribs are mostly from pigs, like, the kind like, if you just say it's a rib, it's probably from pigs.
Oh, good point.
So, well, beef ribs show up a lot later in the series and in some context, so let's look out for that.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, it's a fun one. So Barney calls Robin from the bar and tells her time is running out to use lemon law. She doubles down on the date. But then the guy's insecurity comes up and he assumes it's an excuse call before she even says anything. And I mean, I'm sympathetic to his probable experience where he's had this happen a lot. But it's also really unproductive to prejudge Robin before she's actually done anything wrong. Even though he probably
Yeah.
does sense that she doesn't really want to be there, like he's probably is picking up on some cues from her. Like taking a phone call in the middle of the date.
Well, and this is a phone call. Let's say he couldn't hear what Barney was saying on the other end.
Mm,
The ones based on the one side of the conversation that he would have been overhearing. Yeah, I don't know why his reaction was that. It was like one of those
mm,
TV things where someone's like talking
yeah,
right in front of the other person, but we're pretending that they can't hear them. Yeah, maybe he's just a little too
yeah.
jaded.
But then when Robin tries to genuinely show that she's actually here, going to be here for him for the date, he just assumes that she's a hooker and says he doesn't have a lot of money, which of course suggests that he's willing to pay a little bit. So back at the apartment, Ted and Marshall are having a blast choreographing moves. They continue to argue though. Ted complains about being single, but Marshall brings it home to him. If you want to be buried by now, you would be, but you're not. Says Ted is irrationally picky, easily distracted, and utterly anhedonic. And they make a meal of that word. And Ted says that he can't be anhedonic because he's enjoying the sword fighting. And so they resume doing that.
Marshall seems to like a bit. Remember how we got how excited Marshall got when Ted said that it was ineffable a couple episodes ago?
Oh, yeah. Like breaking out the big words. Marshall then jumps on the coffee table, and they're kind of making up while fighting. They remember when they first got their swords, the day they moved in. And we flash to the past apartments where they're moving in, and Ted's admiring how the swords on the wall, and Marshall's saying it's a bucket list item checked off. While Marshall's assembling the coffee table, he notices a screw is missing, and Ted says, "Use this wood glue; it'll hold." Marshall considers it, says, "Yeah." Cut to the apartment again. Lily walks in, wondering what's going on, but then the coffee table breaks. Marshall falls backwards onto Lily off screen, who then screams, and Ted looks horrified, doing the munch scream face.
Such good
And
face
we cut to
acting.
commercial. Back from the commercial, the show leaves us in suspense of what happened to Lily. We're at the sci-fi restaurant. Robin gets a call, presumably from Ted, about Lily's accident. She says, "Oh God, I'll be right there," and goes to excuse herself from the date, saying her friend has been stabbed with a sword. Her date loudly uses Klingon to accuse her of dishonor. It seems that everyone else in the restaurant understands Klingon. Now, I do not. I've never been that into Star Trek, but apparently in this restaurant they all do. Robin tries to assure him it's actually real, but she just gives up and storms off. Like it wasn't worth it to her. Then we go to the hospital. Ted and Marshall are in the waiting room. Marshall has a nice bouquet of flowers and is somewhat catatonic, saying, "I stabbed my fiance." And I love this. Ted sounding like he's comforting and, "Come on, Marshall. Do you really think she's still your fiance?" Marshall
And
gives him a look.
this is a runner too where Marshall's the first episode, he popped a champagne cork into
Mm.
Lily's eye. He's constantly injuring Lily, and maybe it's partially the size difference. Poor Lily.
Yeah, and uncoordination. Yeah,
But yeah, Ted's reaction, that's fantastic.
yeah. Ted says that he thinks they should have the apartment, and he realizes his problem wasn't really about the apartment, it was just not wanting things to change. Robin comes in at the same time as Barney, and she asks if Lily's gonna be okay. They say yes, and then Barney immediately talks about his date. He's, "What? You said she's fine." So, oh, Barney. So we cut to McLaren's, and Barney is telling his date Jackie that she makes a good first impression, which seems like it's a good line. Jackie kind of likes it. She's impressed by him. Then he goes for a line where he says, "Tonight she might end up being Jackie." Oh, suggesting orgasm. But then she invokes the lemon law on him. And back in the hospital, Barney is really happy the lemon law is now a thing in New York City, and he's only upset that he didn't name him after himself. Robin tries to object that Barney just got rejected, but Ted waves her off and says, "Let him have this one." Barney's just looking pleased off into nowhere. The doctor comes out with a message from Lily. She'd like to see the Knights of the Poorly Constructed Round Table. Now we're in the room with Lily. Lily has a bandage on her shoulder and she's scolding them. They apologize. She says she's going to have to tell her kindergartners, who she tells not to run with scissors, that her fiance ran through her with a broadsword. FY, not a broadsword, more like a cavalry saber.
I believe you.
And Marshall says, just to be fair, it didn't go all the way through. And Lily's comeback is, again, one of my favorites. I'm sorry. Is this a discussion of the degree to which you stabbed me? Marshall apologizes, explains to Lily what happened, and Ted and Marshall start lightly arguing about who won. Lily stops them, saying she doesn't even want that apartment. It smells like dude. She wants a fresh start. Lily says she's starving, and then they decide to get some dinner. And we cut to Queens at her old apartment. We hear Chubbawamba's tub thumping in the background as Lily's
Love
making a
that
toast.
song.
Uh, Barney also toasts a lemon law, and then no one follows, so he clinks his own glass against his water glass. And then Lily mentions that the glasses they're all drinking from are hers, bought at IKEA. Again, why is she not getting her stuff back? Like, why? Like, this is all her stuff. Why isn't she getting it back? Why did the restaurant take it? Marshall says he loves the song and hasn't heard it in forever, and Lily says she's pretty sure it's the mixtape that made her in college. And they all laugh because that's crazy. And then we hear Marshall's voice on the speaker saying, "I love you, Lily. Happy Valentine's Day, 1998." They have to include the year in it. uh, the music's the music swells, and we cut to credits.
Like, so really well, like, I guess we'll talk about when we rate it, but this was a funnier episode than I remember.
Yeah, it was pretty packed. Anything you want to talk about here?
Let's see, the only thing I think we overlooked is when Lily was talking to Marshall, about Ted not necessarily being cool with her, moving in, and she said something like, "Oh, what's he PMSing about?"
Um,
So, yeah, I'm disappointed to see that, I remember, like, it was, like, the first episode, I was thinking, like, I kinda remember, like, Lily making a lot of comments like that throughout the series, I wanna track this, and yeah, my findings are not good. She just keeps, like, putting down the men in her life by comparing them to women, which really, really
hmm.
icky.
So, on the official Rewatch podcast, the creators a couple times, and not for the I haven't listened to one for this episode yet, but they've mentioned a couple times how they've kind of see the show trying to do gender swaps in a lot of ways, where like Ted's the romantic one, and then like Robin's a little bit less romantic, and then Lily has like some more like one of the boys, or she like, and then Marshall has some more feminine, softer characteristics too. So I think that maybe that's valid, but also maybe they're going a little bit in a toxic direction with a couple of these things. But
Yeah,
maybe it's a hard balance.
I don't have an objection to that. In fact, I like to hear that that was intentional, that you had characters maybe embodying some stereotypical traits that are more commonly associated with the other gender. That's great. That's fine. But yeah, the way that the language that she uses, it feels
Mm,
self-deprecating because she herself is a woman and probably has experienced PMS, which sucks. And
yeah.
it's always feels mean spirited.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's definitely, I mean, especially because it's used to dismiss legitimate feelings.
Yeah, and I'm curious where that's coming from because as far as I remember, I kinda wanna know, like, what's Lily's deal? What's her backstory? Like, what led her to maybe
Hmm.
act this way? Because it certainly doesn't seem to be coming from maybe wanting to fit in with the guys, with Ted and Marshall, because as you just pointed out, they're kind of more feminized in some ways.
Hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting point. I don't know.
But I just didn't wanna let that one pass us by.
No, it's a good catch. I completely missed it when I was going over it. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, I didn't have anything else I wanted to discuss about the episode here.
Mm.
So did you notice anything that stuck out as like this is? I mean, I guess we could say tub thumping, but it was actually the '90s. Um, yeah. So what's so lots about this episode?
Oh, a mixtape.
Oh yeah, okay.
That was
Mixtapes.
mine. Did you ever make anybody
Yeah,
a mixtape, either in a tape or a CD?
I did. Well, a CD, a mixed CD. Yeah, yeah, I made one in high school.
Who did you make it for? If you feel comfortable sharing.
Oh, I mean, a friend that was also maybe something, but wasn't really ever. Um, it's complicated. Although it was weird because I didn't select the songs. I asked her what songs she wanted on it, and
Mhm.
then I made it for her. So it wasn't even anyway.
It sounds like it was more commissioned.
Kind of yeah. Although I made like a CD cover, like a thing for it, and like an insert and everything, like on my computer.
Oh, I love that. Did you have any, that's so aughts?
No, I was drawing a blank. I think the mixtape is the best one, so I can't beat that. So, what did you rate this episode as, Mickey?
Well, initially I rated it as 3.5 out of 5 phone booths, but, I'm gonna upgrade it, talking about it, listening to you recap it, I think I enjoyed it more than I realized. I'm gonna give it 4.
Hmm. Yeah, I too. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 missing screws. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I like the jokes are pretty good. There's everything that's happening is yeah, Ted being a little passive aggressive, but also like it kind of goes in a good direction. Like they're not like just fighting the whole episode. They're actually enjoying their time together. And it's really about not wanting to not spend time together anymore. Barney's being a little bit awful, but like as far as Barney goes, it's not terrible. He's being forthright in at least at some point in the date. Robin is trying to be a good person and give someone a chance she might not have otherwise, and she legitimately does try despite her best efforts. It didn't work out. And I think everyone is like kind of like at their best maybe in this episode in a way that
Yeah,
you sometimes don't
now
see.
that you mention it, I didn't hate anybody this episode, and of note, I didn't hate Ted, which might be a first for me.
Hmm.
In fact, in
Wow.
both of
All
the
right.
episodes I know I'm making some progress. Ted got a pass for me this week because I think yeah, when I start to talk about the episode I covered, we'll see, but I don't remember having any issue with him in Belly Full of Turkey either.
Hmm. Before we move on, I would be remiss to not mention that from last week's episode, we missed something big about the Slutty Pumpkin, which is that it's clearly an homage to Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin. For those who aren't familiar with the Peanuts animated cartoon, the idea is that there's a great pumpkin that comes every Halloween, and Charlie Brown, or I guess Linus actually waits for it every year, and so it's you're waiting for something that's never going to come, and but having faith that's going to come is really what the episode's echoing. And so I think we were going to rag on Ted for like always waiting for this thing to happen, but since it's such an homage to that particular thing, I think we should have given it a little bit maybe a little bit more of a pass. And also, that's the reason why they did the Peanuts song at the
Mhm.
end from the acapella group is because of it's a Peanuts reference.
I don't think I've seen that. It's a movie, right? Like one of the holiday
Mhm.
specials. I don't think I've
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
it, so that flew right over my head, so I'm glad you explained that to me.
Yeah, I wonder how many of the current generation, like, watched Peanuts movies as kids anymore.
I don't think they're so popular anymore.
Hmm. If any of you are in the younger generation, let us know. I'm kinda curious, like, has that just dropped off the cultural map or, you know, how old are
Maybe.
we getting here? Alright, shall we move on
Alright.
to the next episode, Mickey?
Alright, so the episode I covered is Belly Full of Turkey. Air date was November 21st, 2005. Quite a few guest stars in this episode. I'm only gonna name a few of them, namely Marshall's parents, Marvin and Judy.
Uh
Uh, do they look familiar to you or sound familiar to you, Nick?
Yeah, yeah, they did. I don't know from what, but
Yeah, and I don't know if you, took a look at my notes, but Marvin is played by this is gonna be like a theme, like us not being able to pronounce people's names. Bill Fagerbake? Fagerbake? Fagerbach? Uh,
Fagerback? Yeah.
Fagerbake. He was in Coach, which I've heard of but never seen, but where I think
Mm.
I probably
I
recognized,
think my
his
parents watched that.
voice, that seems like a parent show, for our generation. He voiced, Patrick from SpongeBob.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, well,
I
apparently
would
multiple
never have guessed
people
that.
did. He was the
Oh, okay.
primary he was the main Patrick.
Mm, okay.
Judy is, played by Susie Plaxon. Really, the only thing I recognized her from was Mad About You, which actually several
Mm.
of the guest stars in this episode made an appearance on Mad About You. I think I saw 1 or 2
I
episodes
wonder
in
if
the
there was a
90s.
connection somehow then.
Maybe. Like, maybe they asked her, "Hey, do you know anyone who would wanna play a person at the soup kitchen?" And she was like, "Oh, yeah, sure." This I don't know.
Or there was, like, the episode's, like, director or something, or I don't know, sometimes it happens, anyway.
Interestingly, a couple of the guest stars were on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, I guess it was Kendall and then, Tracy the stripper. I didn't recognize either of them from Agents, but I didn't finish it.
So Adam Kolbersh, Kendall in this episode, he was Simmons' boss at Hydra when she went undercover.
Oh, okay, I do remember that storyline.
And, the stripper Tracy, Katie Amanda Keene, she was just briefly in it. She was Deke's mom in the later, like, space arc.
Was Deke the grandson from the future?
Don't spoil Agents of Shield. This show that no one's gonna watch. Yeah, yeah, he was
It's
the
not The
person in the
Sopranos.
future. No. Yeah, he was the, grandson of, Fitzsimmons.
Well, I'm proud I even remember any of this because I have actually a really convenient character flaw. I will watch a movie or a show, and unless it's made a huge impact on me of some sort, I get this amnesia where I'll watch, like, or even with a really good show like Breaking Bad. I remember watching it with you, I loved it, but then a few years went by and I ended up rewatching it, and I didn't remember, like, anything that happened, so it was wonderful for me because I got to re-experience everything as if it were the first time, and that's how it is
That's
rewatching
great.
things for me. It's a gift.
For me, I definitely remember it, but it's like rediscovering it is
Mhm.
what I value in a rewatch.
Well, I'll give my summary. Lily and Marshall visit Marshall's family in his hometown of St. Cloud, Minnesota for Thanksgiving, where a pregnancy scare sends Lily spiraling about Marshall's family and their future. Meanwhile, Robin and Ted volunteer at a soup kitchen for Thanksgiving. There, they are flabbergasted to discover that Barney is the volunteer of the year, but eventually realize that he has simply been assigned court ordered community service. I chose this episode. Well, actually, I didn't really think about this till after the fact, but I've gotten 2 holiday episodes in a row, so lucky me. I had Halloween and Thanksgiving now. But the reason I went for this one is I found it a little relatable, not just with respect to taking pregnancy tests, but also, trying to integrate yourself into a significant other's family and just how awkward that can be and how out of place you can feel even with the kindest of people. So yeah, I talk about that more later. So we start the episode, kids on the couch, of course. Future Ted says this is a Thanksgiving story. We get a little montage of New York City in the fall. Ted's kind of waxing poetic, to use your term earlier, about how the city, this unforgiving city, gets a little bit kinder. And then it sets us up to this opening scene where Lily drags herself out of the bathroom holding her stomach and says, "Well, I just Ralphed." Robin, who's at the apartment, wants to know how much they drank last night, and Ted says it's not how much, but it's what we drank. So we cut to McLaren's, and everybody's sitting at the table. Well, everybody being Marshall, Lily, Ted, and Barney, sitting at the table with it looks like Cosmos, something in a martini
Oh,
glass. And Barney explains as he's invented a holiday drink called the Thanksgiving, which is cranberry juice, potato vodka, duh, potato,
okay.
and a because vodka is potato based,
Well, apparently you can make vodka from other things, so I guess there's some more variety now.
like beet vodka, right? They talked about that in Office Ladies.
I do not recall that one, but
I think that's true. Okay, well, so maybe even if all vodka was potato based, which I think the majority of it is, maybe he had to emphasize that to
I mean,
explain the
vodka at its purity is basically just alcohol and water, so it's, like, not that much difference between different sources, but
well, anyway,
it's not like you have
it's
potato flavor, unless it was potato flavored vodka, which would be a very weird.
the vodka community has gotten out of hand because they have had the most wackadoodle flavors. They've had well, bacon flavor I would try actually, but some of the flavors of vodka. You know what? I'm gonna take a minute here. I'm gonna quick Google
Hmm,
like the grossest vodka flavors that people come out. Oh, god. Okay, well, so bacon was the one I
You find
remembered. Smoked salmon.
I don't think meat flavors would go well in alcohol. I can't imagine that.
Oh, PB&J vodka. No, no, no. Um, yeah, well, you bison grass. What is that? Bison grass vodka. What is that? I don't know. Well, there's just some very wrong flavors out. But luckily, this appears to be just plain old vodka. So it's cranberry juice, vodka, and a bouillon cube. So, listeners, Nick and I, for the second time in a row, we had plans, we had aspirations to recreate the disgusting drink from the episode. And both times we weren't able to find like the proper ingredients. And as I mentioned this morning, I was a little bit hungover anyway. So I was kind of okay not drinking a thanksgiving. But I think our plan is maybe for like the season recap or something, we're gonna try some of these recipes. So we'll save
Yeah,
this.
I'll make the thing.
Yeah, this is gonna be a wild
So,
season recap.
so I noticed that so they put the bouillon cube in there. Marshall drinks it up really quickly before anything gets a chance to dissolve.
It sounds like everything except for the bouillon cube sounds good because it sounds like essentially just a Cosmo.
Well, I mean, cranberry vodka cranberry is like a standard drink, right? A vodka cranberry would not be anything special for Thanksgiving. So I guess the bouillon cube has to be present if it's going to be anything.
Yeah, I guess it's just really a Cape Codder. It's what they call them up in Boston.
What? I've never
A
heard
Cape
that.
Yeah, yeah, I used to order them and I ordered them as Cape Codders, cranberry vodka.
Bu- At any place or a
Yeah,
specific place?
try it next time. See what happens if you order a Cape Codder. I swear, because that was one of my go-to drinks when I lived there and when I was in my 20s, I
Huh.
would get Cape Codders.
Okay. Take you at your word.
Marshall says it's like Thanksgiving in his mouth. Back to the apartment, Ted does acknowledge that Barney did come up with a good drink called a Kwanzaa-politan. Don't know what that's would have been in that.
Yeah, I don't know what foods are associated with Kwanzaa, but
Yeah, I
apparently
don't know.
Ted thinks it's good. So yeah.
It's gotta be better than the Thanksgiving with the bouillon cube.
Mhm.
Marshall runs out screaming excited that the airport shuttle is here. He's running around in a tizzy because he thinks he's forgotten to pack his underpants. And Lily smiles and explains that Marshall is excited to go home to visit for the holidays. So Marshall's frantically running around in the background, and Ted and Robin start to tease Lily about going to spend the weekend with the future in-laws because Lily is, she seems a little hesitant. She keeps using language like, "Oh yeah, no, okay, yeah, it'll be great." It's kind of guarded. So Ted says that he has to work on Friday, so that's why he won't be going to visit his family for the holiday. And Robin says that Canadian Thanksgiving is celebrated in October. So Ted, again, kind of a runner here, starts teasing Robin for Canadians being weird and how they pronounce the word out as oot. Robin counters very correctly that the United States is the leader in handgun violence, which can we pause here? That's rich coming from Robin. From what we're going to learn about her later.
Well, she's never committed handgun violence.
She literally lost her gun one episode, I think.
Well, okay, we'll get to that.
I guess gun safety and intentional handgun violence will make a distinction. But yeah, Robbins counters that the United States is the leader in handgun violence. The healthcare system is bankrupt and people are deeply divided on every significant issue. Oh, Robin, just you wait.
Yeah, and then Canada's gonna be in the crosshairs as a result. Sorry, Canada.
Sorry, guys. Ted kind of pauses and then smirks and says that your cops are called Mounties.
Which is, I mean, that is ridiculous, but
Robin asks Ted if he's going to be hanging out with Barney, but Ted says that Barney has his own holiday tradition. Cut to McLaren's. Barney is describing his tradition. He goes to a strip club, the Lusty Leopard, and apparently they have a surprisingly good buffet. And two of the strippers, one dresses up like a pilgrim, the other dresses up like an Indian, and they share a meal. Ooh. And then Lily, I think, reacts the way I reacted. Like, "Oh, Barney." And then Barney goes, "Ah, sorry, Native American." Completely missing what Lily was reacting to.
Mhm.
Back to the apartment, Ted says that he's gonna volunteer at a shelter, and Robin says that, Oh, okay, yeah, so this is kind of to cancel out Barney's bad energy he's contributing to the world. Exactly. So then Marshall comes running back out. Where are my underpants? And Lily says, "Well, did you check the suitcase?" And he checks, and yep, they're there. So they go to leave. So now we get some establishing shots of St. Cloud, Minnesota. I looked it up. This is a real place, which I it sounded familiar, and I wasn't sure if,
You didn't know it
because of
was
the
a real place.
show. Well, okay, I assumed it was a real place, and I thought it sounded familiar, but I thought maybe it was because I knew it from the show.
Okay.
Okay, well, this is more news to me than to you, Nick. Population is 68,000, so it's the 12th largest city in Minnesota. So screw you. Why would I have heard of this?
Fair enough.
It's located in central Minnesota, along the Mississippi River, which shows you how far up that thing goes. It is named after St. Cloud, France.
Huh.
And there's literally nothing else interesting about St. Cloud, Minnesota. If you're from St. Cloud and you run a write-in and educate me, please do so, because the city's website didn't really have a lot to to brag about. I gave it I went into it with an open mind. It does look cold from these establishing shots, I'll say that. So Lily and Marshall enter Marshall's childhood home, and future Ted explains that Marshall at 6'4" was the runt of the family. And this is so funny the way it's shot. I'm not quite sure how they did this, but you see the whole family coming out of the kitchen, I assume, and they're like ducking under the doorway. And somehow they shot this in a way where everybody looks just comically taller than Lily, which, like, I think she's actually, I think I looked this up in the first episode. Like, Marshall is actually like 6'4", and Lily, the actress who plays Lily, is pretty petite. Here we meet Marshall's parents, his two brothers, and their wives. Everybody's obviously super tall, and also, at least the sisters in law are super blonde. Marvin, the dad, comes out and good naturedly hugs Lily, and then he gives her kind of a loving smack on the back and slams her right into the table. And immediately says, "Okay, guys, we're gonna go outside and play ice ball." And Lily says, "What's that?" And I guess this is some horribly dangerous game where it's a combination of basketball and ice hockey. Lily asked, "Well, why wouldn't you just call it ice ball?" And apparently that sounds weird. But Lily's getting sassy with everybody. She's kind of ribbing, the brothers. She tosses a basketball around and tells Marshall, "Oh, it's funny, because your brother throws like a girl." Here, I'm going to give Lily a pass. I think she's probably feeling a little bit uncomfortable. It seems like she
Mm.
wants to, I mean, I'm assuming, like, they've been dating forever, right? Since college. So this cannot be the first time she's met his family, but maybe she's still feeling like
Huh.
enough of an outsider where she wants to, like, ingratiate herself a little bit.
You know, let's see, they were at college. She probably met the parents. There's a chance she, like, either didn't meet the siblings or maybe only briefly met.
That's possible. I think it's more likely that she's met Marshall's parents than both siblings, and certainly the sisters-in-law. And Marshall's
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's clear she's never been to Thanksgiving before, which is maybe a little weird.
is it
Like,
her first Thanksgiving with them?
well, how would she not know about Ball if she's been there before for Thanksgiving?
Yeah. So, at least in
Or
some
the
ways,
7-layer dip or
yeah, you're
she'll
right.
hear
This
about
is
it, yeah.
has to be somewhat of a new situation for her. And she probably doesn't see them frequently enough because they're in New York, his parents are and whole family's in Minnesota. So I
Uh,
can see, yeah, I can see why this would be a little
I
uncomfortable
guess
for her that late in
maybe
the game.
yeah, maybe Marshall was going home for Thanksgiving more.
Mhm.
But I guess, yeah, where was Lily going then? Because I mean, well, we'll learn more about her parent situation later. Hmm. Well, okay. I
Yeah,
guess they
I
I
don't know.
mean, the writers of the show didn't know either at this point.
Yeah. Well, Lily, definitely she's not big enough to play with this group of people because one of the
Uh,
brothers throws the basketball back at Lily and hits her in the head, and she goes straight down.
of course, he shouldn't have aimed for her head. Like, come on.
Maybe he's got really bad aim. Also, it just occurred to me, we figure this out, or we find this out later in the episode, that at least one of the sisters-in-law is pregnant. They're throwing basketballs around this poor lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's, like, holding her belly, actually. Well, whatever. So, now we're at the soup kitchen. Ted and Robin have arrived and they're feeling excited. They're full of Thanksgiving spirit. Ted says that this soup kitchen must be filled with some of the best people in the world. Enter Barney. He's wearing a blue volunteer shirt and acting like such a goody goody. Very out of character for Barney. And Robin and Ted cannot wrap their heads around the fact that Barney is here in this room doing this. They ask, "What is Barney doing?" And Barney says, "The Lord's work." He's the Angelina Jolie of incredibly hot guys. But he reveals that he volunteers there regularly. And then a man with a headset comes out, Kendall, and asks Barney to help out with the stuffing line. Apparently, there's some rookies messing things up. Barney needs to show them how things are done. This is not enough for Ted. He needs some corroboration from Kendall. But Kendall says, yeah, he's our best volunteer. He volunteers here weekly. But then Kendall dismisses them and says, "Go home. We don't have any need for you. We've got too many volunteers here." I think this is a thing. Like Thanksgiving, for some
Mm.
reason, is a big volunteer day, and sometimes people just get overloaded with volunteers. But
Yeah,
Barney
I've heard that.
vouches for them. Yeah, he says they're cool. So Kendall's like, "Fine, just go wait in the corner, and we'll let you know if you're needed." And then Barney picks up a tray or a pot of soup or something and says, "Okay, I've got a lot of food to give out," and a lot of smiles. Barney seems to have been lobotomized.
Mm, no, no, he just knows how to put on a show.
So we're in the kitchen with Judy and the two sisters-in-law. Do we get their names?
I don't know if we do.
Well, we're everybody's cooking in the kitchen. Lily's helping out, and Judy, bless her heart, she's so sweet. She gives Lily. She says, "I know it's early," but she gives her the frilliest little apron that says Mrs. Erickson on it. The sisters-in-law are giddy. Lily looks a little uncomfortable, but is very gracious about it. And then Judy says, "Okay, Lily, we're putting you on salad duty." And Lily starts describing, because I don't know if we know this at this point, but Lily is an excellent cook. And she starts talking about this like endive salad that she makes. It's really fancy. She starts listing off all these, probably maybe to the sisters in law sounds kind of like hoity toity, highfalutin ingredients, salad ingredients. And one of the sisters in law is adorable. She says, "But this is an American holiday." At this point, I'm kind of wondering, are we supposed as an audience, are we supposed to be judging Marshall's family, or is this that we're kinda just seeing them through the lens of Lily's feelings of maybe not quite fitting in?
Hmm. I think there's a little bit of judging. Like they're making fun of like a Midwestern trope of a family.
I mean, these are clearly portrayed as very down to earth people. I'll say where the judgment comes in, and I am on board with Lily here, is when we find out what the secret recipe is to the 7-layer salad. It's includes 16 cups of mayo. I hate mayonnaise. It is disgusting to me. I'll have a dash of it maybe on a sandwich, maybe. Marshall enters the kitchen looking flushed and recapping the game of ice ball. No, basket. Oh gosh, what did they call it?
Basque ice ball.
Basque ice ball. See, I want to say what Lily said, but he comes in and the rest of the guys follow him in. Lily's obviously maybe feeling a little uncomfortable. And she asks Marshall, "Hey, kind of miss you, baby. Will you stay inside with me?" And Marshall seems a little reluctant, but yeah, sure, sure. But then Marvin, the dad, says, "Okay, well, halftime's over." So Lily says, "All right, go out, and have fun with your dad and your brothers." And Marshall says, "Can't you see why everybody from my high school stays in this town?" And Lily's just scooping out mayonnaise at this point, looking disgusted. At the soup
Oh, by the
kitchen.
way,
Mm,
so it's Ashley Erickson in the credits.
okay,
But I don't see another.
which one is Ashley?
I don't know which one. I am only seeing one other woman listed,
Oh, mystery. Maybe she's on. I guess she's just uncredited.
but usually it says uncredited things in here.
Really.
All right, let's keep going, and I'll do some research.
Nick isn't gonna Nick, I'll let everybody know, is a much more curious person than me. That's one of the things I love about him because I'll kind of put a question out into the universe. Oh, I wonder why this is the case. And then I'll never follow up on it again. I just kind of lose interest. But like Nick will deep dive it. So we're in good hands with him. He's gonna find an answer for us at some point. At the soup kitchen, Barney says he's done so much good today. It's like he's got a soul boner. And it's just the
Barney.
best. And seeing the look on the face of someone less fortunate is just the best feeling. And Robin says, "Yesterday, Barney, you said that the best feeling was getting your toes sucked and then requested a high five with your feet."
Ugh, Barney is gross.
Ted asks to sub in and scoop stuffing or something, and Barney laughs and they're like, "Oh, hey, hello, NFL. Can I be quarterback this Sunday?" Apparently, this would be a little bit out of Ted's league here. Cut back to the kitchen. Lily's about done here with this 7-layered salad. I can't even look at this. The amount of mayonnaise.
Oh, so I
No.
looked at what was actually in it.
Oh, I should have.
So
What's in it besides gummy bears?
all right, the first layer is lettuce. Then, of course, there's mayo in between each of these layers. The next layer is bacon bits, I believe. Then carrots, shredded carrots,
Okay, I see that.
red onions. After the red onions is Funyuns, and then gummy bears, and then the chips. Obviously.
I kind of wish they committed to if it's going to be that unhealthy, why bother putting lettuce or carrots in it?
Well, it's a salad. I mean,
What makes a salad a
yeah.
salad? Wow, I wish I didn't know what was in it. Well, Lily says that she just finished the gummy bear layer of the salad. Next is potato chips. So Judy asks Lily, "So, are you? When are you guys thinking about having a baby?" And Lily just catches her off guard. She just kind of starts and crumbles the potato chips in her. Well, drops the potato chips and says, "Oh no, we haven't really even thought about it." But freeze frame. Future Ted starts narrating. Lily was lying. It's really all she's been thinking about. And then you get that flashback to Lily coming out of the bathroom saying, "Well, I just Ralphed." And we learn Lily's 6 days, her period 6 days late at this point. But Lily tells Judy, they're too young. Judy says she was younger than Lily when she had Marcus, which I guess he would be the oldest. And he was 15 pounds, about the size of the turkey that they're preparing for Thanksgiving dinner. And Lily looks at the turkey, and there's this awesome effect with the camera. It's like kind of
Mm,
like
that's fun.
pulls out and pulls in at the same time. I think that actually might be the same technique they use in the elevator in Severance. And if that's the case, I know there's a name for it. I just don't remember what it is.
I think it's. I get this wrong. You pull the camera back or forward while also adjusting the zoom
Mhm.
so that the depth of field changes.
Well, it's really effective in this moment because, you're really highlighting this ginormous turkey, but also Lily's reaction to it. It was really good. So we cut to commercial break. We're back in the kitchen, and Judy's talking about, her pregnancy with the oldest brother, and says that the doctor thought that he was twins. And Lily goes, "Twins!" And then it occurs to her, "Oh, twins!" And you get this ominous music. Now, I'd like to think if they actually there were twins, they would not both be 15 pounds, but boy,
Yeah, aren't twins usually a bit smaller each?
that's my
But still, it's probably
understanding.
not. But it's probably not exactly half. So it's probably still more than a single baby.
Yeah, oof. That would be a lot. At the soup kitchen, Ted's complaining to Robin, "When did it get so hard to do charity work?" And Robin's full of sass. She says, "Oh, I do it all the time. Remember when I told you I was going to try to find you a girlfriend?" And then Robin is a good friend. She introduces Ted to the girl that I guess she's noticed he's been staring at. And have you met Ted? Get another one of those. The woman's name is Amanda. She is cute. And Amanda gives Ted she says, "I can give you and your girlfriend a job." Robin immediately clarifies, "Oh, I'm not his girlfriend. I wasn't enough for him emotionally or sexually." Kind of leans in and whispers, like, "Oh my God." I would be so weirded out by this if I were Amanda, but Amanda seems okay. You got my
Yeah, like
attention.
right, like how? Why would that be the kind of thing that someone would just say? Like, at least you'd be suspicious. Like, that's not real, right?
I mean, I would like to assume that Amanda's thinking, "Okay, this is just an overenthusiastic wing woman," which is exactly what this is.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Like maybe at
also would
least
weird out.
showing that I guess Robin knows and likes Ted.
Ted looks appropriately mortified, but Robin didn't mess it up. Amanda's into it.
Yeah.
So the job that she gives them is to sort through all these boxes, take the really good stuff out and put it in this one particular box. More on that in a moment. So Ted moves one of the boxes away from the wall and says, okay, well, Barney's not going to be the only one who gets all the glory today. When he moves the box, he uncovers a framed photo of Barney that says Volunteer of the Year holding a little ladle. So Ted immediately covers, the photo again with the with the box, and we'll go back to that one later. So now we're at the table. Everybody's finishing saying grace for Thanksgiving dinner. And one of the sisters in law comes out with a little Martin who wanted to come out and say goodnight. He's apparently 3 months old. I'd put him at like maybe 6 months, the actual actor, if I had to guess. I'm
Oh,
better
yeah.
now at gauging babies' ages. Certainly, he's not 3 months.
Yeah. I do wanna note, though, that they all have giant glasses of milk that they're drinking.
Yes, and because, one of them says something like, "Oh, he's been drinking his milk," and then they all toast with the giant glasses of milk. It's so wholesome. Honestly, I love this family. I can see why Lily's having the reaction she is, but I can't get enough of them. They're so adorable. Also, apparently, this poor bitch is pregnant again. She's got a 3-month-old and she's knocked up again, which is possible, but,
Yeah.
ooh, no, no, ma'am. Uh, Marvin, the dad, says, well, those Erickson boys, they can swim. They've got a drill bit for a head. This is totally something my mom would say at the dinner table to a new partner. Marshall kind of blushes and says, oh, dad, you're embarrassing me. He says, well, Lily's cool and she's going to be an Erickson. So Lily, at this point, she just starts to speak up. She says, actually, I'm not changing my last name. And Judy, this is honestly, one of my favorite lines of the series so far. I don't know why this tickled me so much. She goes, "But the apron." Judy is so pure. She's so pure.
So I figured it out, by
Mhm.
the way.
Yes, I noticed you've been on
So
your phone. What'd you figure out?
so the other sister has 0 lines, so she's an extra.
Oh, and if she had lines, they'd have to give her her SAG card, right?
Well, I had no idea about that, but they have to pay more for having a line on a show. So she has no lines, so she's not a named character. So she's just an extra.
That explains it. But wait, in IMDb, didn't it say anything like other sister-in-law or
No,
nothing?
nothing at all.
Interesting. Well,
I
I
mean, she had a couple facial expressions, but that was it.
the mystery has been solved to my satisfaction. How about you?
Yeah, but I am curious why they I guess yeah, I mean, they felt they had to have the brothers be both, like, named actors and have lines. But I just figured they could sacrifice one of the sisters-in-law to save some money.
I don't know. I don't know. This is why we need some guest stars to come in and actually tell us the ins and outs of the biz, like how these decisions get made. I'm gonna
I
start
guess we could
sliding into
submit a
people's
question to the show.
DMs. Yeah, yeah, there you go. So anyway, yes, but the apron. Marshall, he's I'm assuming trying to be diplomatic and make everyone feel comfortable. This is so me at an uncomfortable dinner party. Marshall says, well, it's not decided, but Lily, no, she insists I'm not changing my last name. Marvin says, but people know the Ericksons. Liz like, yeah, but in St. Cloud, sure, but our kids aren't going to be growing up here, and they want to know, why not St. Cloud? Lily defends herself. New York City is a great place to grow up. Okay, St. Cloud, yeah, maybe, but so is New York City, and everyone laughs at this, which is a little insensitive. But
Mm.
then it prompts this great line from Lily. No, it is. And we grew to the proper height and then we stopped. So, yeah, I'm going to pause here and hold a little space for Lily. You can see, having had this information now that she's thinks she could possibly be pregnant, I 100% can understand why she's feeling overwhelmed. Even if she didn't have this specter of a possible pregnancy looming over her, it is a little uncomfortable to, even when you're surrounded by what is clearly a very warm and welcoming and open group of people, you're you're trying to figure out this dynamic. You're trying to integrate yourself into this pre-existing dynamic, like,
Mhm.
obviously, like, you've got, Marshall, his brothers, like, they've been a family for years. I'm assuming the sisters-in-law have been married long enough that they seem right at home there. But Lily's feeling like such an outsider, so I am having a lot of
Sure.
sympathy for her. I've had, like, a couple relationships where, I absolutely felt like Lily in that situation, and it was nothing that anybody did in the situation. It was just kind of it was what it was. At the soup kitchen, Ted asks Amanda, "So what is this box for?" And Amanda says, "Well, people, donate so much extra food, we can't possibly use it all." And then she finds a bottle of truffle oil and says, "Score." So Ted realizes, oh my gosh, like she's basically stealing this food that was donated to the poor and taking it home. And he calls Amanda out on it. He says, people are like, they think this food's going to feed the hungry. And she says, yeah, and I'm starving. So Amanda might be a monster.
But there's a question that, like, it is extra food. I mean, I guess, like, if it's perishable, then sure, but, like, truffle oil is not perishable, so that probably should be held around, right?
Yeah, if it was okay, if someone donated, like, a cake and there was no way it was gonna be eaten and okay, give it out to the volunteers, that'd be a kind thing to do, but yeah, the truffle oil is gonna be just fine for a few months. Back at the dinner table, Marshall says to Lily that, "Well, hey, you've always said you wanted to move when we had kids," and she says, "Yeah, but I'm in, like, Brooklyn." Marshall is really understandably confused. He wants to know, why are we talking about this right now? This is way down the road. But as the narrator points out, this might not be so far down the road. So Lily excuses herself to go to the restroom and quite literally heads down the road. You see the car going down the road through the dark, snowy St. Cloud, Minnesota night. Poor Lily. Commercial break. Back at the soup kitchen, Barney is scolding Robin and Ted. I guess they must have told Barney what happened. And he says, like, it's called Thanksgiving, not thanks taking. Damn. Uh, Kendall then comes in and asks Barney if he needs to sign his timesheet. Barney's been had, you guys. He's there for community service. But what for? We had a cutaway to Barney peeing on the side of a building and getting busted by the popo. And it turns out that Barney got arrested and given community service because he got caught peeing on the side of the judge's church. So Barney just picked the wrong building. He defends himself that he was drunk, but this is enough for Ted and Robin. They're satisfied. The world makes sense again. Barney's, he's there for court ordered community service. He is Satan. It's
So,
it's it's fine.
we could have a discussion here about, what this means about the lack of public bathrooms in American society. So I can't say I've ever peed outside, but
I've
I
I've peed
could
drunk on a building.
see. Okay.
I'm very classy.
I mean, guess if you gotta go, you gotta go. And but yeah, I mean, the but the only bathrooms available to the public is like in businesses that you have to like pay for something to use. Yeah, that's kind of a problem, I think.
It is a problem, especially for, homeless, unhoused, whatever you wanna call it,
Mhm.
people who don't have, acts well, and not just like, urination, but, like, quite literally, like, if you don't have a space to do these things, like, your whole life, all these things that are intended to be private become public and therefore become criminalized, so, yeah, that's a good point. Barney's not one of those people, but,
Yeah.
maybe he didn't have cash on him to go across the street to Starbucks and then get the code and put it in, and it's a massive pet peeve of mine. You know what? I've peed in public several times now that I'm thinking about this. And you know what? Honestly, I've done it out of spite a couple times for that very reason. Okay, the listeners are gonna hear some stuff about me. Nick apparently is gonna hear some stuff about me. I'm coming off
Yeah, this
great
is
in this
news.
episode. So the time I mentioned earlier, so I'll clarify, I didn't pee on a building because 'cause I'm not a boy. I peed drunk in an alleyway. That was just on me. One time, I had my dog Brutus with me, who you remember, and I
Mhm.
pulled over at a rest stop. I was driving between, like, Nashville and to visit my parents, and, I didn't wanna leave him in the car because I was a protective pug mama, and I really had to poop, and I tried to take him into the rest stop with me, and yeah, they were just being super uptight about it, and they said, like, I had to leave my dog in the car and I couldn't bring him into the restroom with me. So I said, "Fine." So I took Brutus, and he and I went into the woods behind the rest stop, and I had a vengeance poop, and I'm very proud of that poop. and don't you dare cut this. I'm justice,
Okay. All right.
justice. And there and
That
then
sounds
one
like
time
Lily.
yes, I guess we're gonna get to that
Lily
episode
Lily
soon.
does justice things. We haven't heard that yet,
Mhm.
but
The final time I can think of, I was very pregnant. I could not walk around more than, like, 20 minutes without having to pee, and the bathroom was closed, and I, again, was like, "You know what? If you're gonna arrest a extremely pregnant woman for be" I would have peed myself, so I think I peed behind, like, a bush or something in a park, and I would have loved to have been confronted about that. Yeah, it
no,
also, like,
there were
if you have some type of, like, disability or you're pregnant or something, like, people need to you need to have access to public restroom. That is a big pet peeve of mine.
yeah. There was, when I was living in East Boston, there was a spot right outside my window, like, where there was a brick wall that was hiding a transformer box, and, like, every other weekend or so, I would see a person, like, try to hide behind there and go to the bathroom, both guys and women.
Did anyone ever
Um,
get electrocuted?
no, not on the transformer, but just, like, it's just, like, kind of a nook that's kind of protected from being seen from the sidewalk, but, like, anyone, like, in the apartment could see down, like,
Oh,
okay.
Nick. Oh, I do feel bad for you about that. Alright, well, get that was a heck of a tangent there. You didn't think that was
Oh,
gonna go
yeah.
where it went, did you?
No, I had no idea.
You really, like, thought differently of me, I think. So, anyway, yeah, Barney defends himself and says, "You know, at least I'm doing something good. What have you guys done today?" So at that moment, Kendall walks in and Ted tattles on Amanda. He grabs a bag of mushrooms that she was gonna abscond with and says, "Your rats are out." And Kendall acts like he's about to start scolding Amanda, but then he says, "Amanda, I call dibs on the mushrooms." And then we get the same joke, this food's supposed to be for the hungry. And Kendall says, "And I'm starving." So these are all terrible people. Amanda and Kendall start laughing. Good for Ted. He steals the bag of mushrooms and he rushes out into the dining
Well,
hall and starts flinging that at people who look so confused.
arguably, yeah, arguably, it's not the best move to try. I mean, given that everyone there is actually getting fed, and like the thrown mushrooms are probably going to end up on the floor and go to waste, and they're not cooked or anything. So, yeah,
I'm gonna give it to him. I thought it was a great move. So
it
now
was
we're at the
funny.
gas station, and Lily's buying a pregnancy test, and the clerk wishes her happy Thanksgiving. This poor clerk, Lily just unloads on him. A family of mayonnaise guzzling giants is trying to suck me into their suburban nightmare, and I might have a 15-pound Erickson growing inside of me. And, I guess Marvin was right because people really do know the Ericksons because the clerk immediately realized, "Oh, you're Marshall's fiancé. You're taller than described." Lily does apologize and asks to use the restroom, and he says, "There is none." Lily's like, "Well, what do you have to do when you go to the bath? What do you need to where do you go?" And he goes, "Oh, I hold it." And he's sipping. It's almost like a big gulp.
Yeah, right.
Boy,
Giant drink.
justice for these poor, convenience store clerks too, who apparently have to hold their pee all day.
Maybe we could also say it's part of the patriarchy that there aren't public bathrooms because men can, I think, generally like hold it more than women, at least in my experience.
I do think there is some science to back that up. Also, sometimes ladies, not to get too graphic, we have to take care of other things in the bathroom.
Mm, yeah,
So
absolutely.
you got to do what you got to do. Next, we see Ted and Robin sitting on the curb. They've literally gotten kicked to the curb by Kendall, and
Yeah.
Barney's behind them and he's pissed. He is furious that they got him fired with 40 hours left of community service and he does not want to pick up trash instead. Oh my gosh, how much community service did Barney get? I don't know what's normal for that type of infraction, but
Well, he's been doing it every week,
like a
right? And it's
year.
maybe at least an hour a week.
So, okay, so maybe this is like really well spaced out. That seems like a lot though, only 40
Could be.
hours. Like how much did he do
Um,
already? It seemed excessive to me. So then he starts
Probably,
like
yeah. Unless it's
screaming.
not his first time.
Oh, repeat offender. He holds up his, Volunteer of the Year portrait and starts shrieking at Ted. But Ted offers to make it up to him, and Barney immediately changes his tune, perks up, and says, "Glad you asked." And we cut to we're at a strip club. They're playing Doma Arigato, Mr. Roboto. Barney's eating a turkey leg. Robin's eating two. Ted is just sitting there with his head in his hands, looking despondent. There's a really funny shot of kind of zooming in on Ted's glum face through the stripper's fishnet stocking legs. I, I mean, I don't know anything about camera work, but I've really appreciated it. The last couple episodes has been pretty creative. And then Robin, kind of call back to earlier in the episode, says, "You know what? This is a surprisingly good dinner." And then Ted says to Barney, "Who gets arrested for public urination?" Cut to Marshall is at the house and he's holding the phone and says Lily's been arrested. And Judy says, "Oh dear, for what? Public urination." So next commercial break. Now we're at the jail. And Marshall comes in to bail Lily out, and he knows the jailer. This is why I actually thought St. Cloud was even smaller than it actually is, because everybody really does seem to know
Mhm.
Marshall. Marshall is looking like he's trying to kind of suppress his anger. He wants to make sure Lily's okay, but Lily is so, she's embarrassed. She's embarrassed herself in front of his family. This is the most depressing place to spend Thanksgiving. Like, brief cut to Barney in a strip club and like the strippers taking cash out of his mouth. Marshall wants to know, why did you drive all the way down the interstate to pee behind a convenience store? And Lily's like, she will not tell him until she makes Marshall promise that they will not move here. Marshall does not get it. Lily's going on about all the different ways that she doesn't fit in, her height and the salad. And Marshall's, "Lily, I am these things. I'm Funyuns and I'm St. Cloud and I might want to move here one day. But like, why are we even talking about this right now?" And in comes the jailer with a pregnancy test in a little baggie. And Marshall looks stunned. Immediately, he does a 180. "We cannot move here. We
Mm.
cannot let our kids play Basque ice ball." So they hold hands. Lily's kind of got her head on his shoulder. And Marshall makes a great point. He says, "I don't want to be my family, but no offense, I don't want us to be like your family either. Let's be our own family and freak out the people our kids bring home." And it was a really sweet moment. Lily's crying a little bit, and she
Yeah.
says, "I don't care where they grew up as long as you're the father." And then she jokes that she hopes he's the father.
Mm.
I think last week I complained a little bit that there was a really sweet moment that felt kind of, ruined a little bit by, an attempt to be funny. This one worked for me. I don't know why. I thought it was actually in the moment, it worked.
I think because it's for the character, it's like, yeah, of course, it's like she wants to like lighten the mood. She wants to
Mhm.
make him laugh for a moment. So it's part of the
Yeah,
total, not
and
just like something to. It's something she chose to do in the moment with Marshall. It's not something that just like randomly happens. It's not something the writers are doing. Right.
yeah, maybe it just felt more like, yeah, what she would actually say to bring him down a little bit to a calmer place. I love these actors' chemistry. They're so good together.
Mm, yeah.
Well, so we find out that, like, Lily didn't get a chance to actually read the pregnancy test before, Pete picked her up, and Pete shouts out that it's negative. So they're both really relieved, and Lily goes, "Thank God," and then she yells, "Hey." Now we're at the strip club, and Robin tells Ted that he's a good guy. And Ted's not so sure, and now maybe we see a little bit what was driving his anxiety about really wanting to volunteer on Thanksgiving. Apparently, his architecture firm is building an executive lounge for a tobacco company. But then Barney comes up.
He's on the side of cancer.
He's on the side of cancer. But Barney comes up to Ted and asks. He says, "This is Walter. He's homeless. He would like a lap dance." Ted offers to buy Walter dinner, but Walter's been at 3 different shelters. He's good. His highest need right now is a lap dance. And you know what? Good on Ted, because I can see someone in Ted's situation deciding that they know what someone in Walter's situation needs. But really, Walter knew he was good. He knew what he needed. And you can see like the look on his face. He's almost emotional. He's so happy. And I know it sounds gross, but poor guy probably just needed a little bit of intimacy. And I love that Ted met him where he was at.
Sure, I'll go with it.
That's my very sweet spin on this otherwise gross scene. So then the episode's starting to wind down, and you see Lily at the table finishing Thanksgiving dinner. She seems like she's fitting in a little more comfortably now with Marshall's family. I think that has to do with Lily. I think that talk was really helpful between her and Marshall. She's feeling more confident in herself. I don't think this is anything that changed on their part. I think this is all, coming from within
Mm,
Lily. And then, we're at the strip club and Barney, he's, like, waving this, volunteer of the year picture up in the air. I guess he's trying to impress the strippers. One of the strippers approaches Ted and says, "Hey, I saw what you did with that guy," and she offers a free lap dance. So then, she introduces herself as Amber, and he says, "My name's Ted." And she goes, "Actually, I'm Tracy." He goes, "Still Ted." And then future Ted says, "And that's the true story of how I met your mother." All right. And then you see the kids on the couch going, "What?" And then the narrator says, "Just kidding." And that was the end of the episode. This one was so
they're
funny
very
too.
relieved.
They're so relieved. Like the daughter clutches her chest. Yeah, Nick, did you have any catches? Anything else you want to discuss? Any not so aughts?
Nothing particular big. I was curious, have you ever been to a strip club?
A couple times. I
Yeah,
do not know
I
what the
have too.
listeners are going to think of me after this episode. Well, you lived in Atlanta. Of course you did.
Yeah, so friends in grad school decided it would be a fun idea. One was called the Pink Pony, and was it the Pink Pony,
Are you thinking of
or was that the Chappelle Roan
Chappelle Roan?
song?
Yeah. I love that song.
It might have been the same name. Um,
It sounds like a strip club name.
I'm sure there are multiple strip clubs called the Pink Pony. And then, the other one was called, the Claremont Lounge,
That
which is
sounds
actually
classy.
it's a historic site,
Oh,
basically. It's kind of the dive bar version of a strip club where how it was described to me was and this is maybe a little offensive to the sex workers, but, like, it was where strippers go to die. Like, they're like I mean, they're, like, older or, like, not like, what you would see in a not classier, but you know what I mean, strip club.
Nick's like, "How do
Um,
I say this without getting my butt kicked?" I think I remember you telling me about this, and you did not have the best time.
well, also, I don't think it helped that we were all sober, or at least I was sober. I guess it was an experience, like, it's a Atlanta landmark. Yeah, although I will say, if you happen to be at a strip club and someone comes around offering shots, know what you're getting into if you say yes, because it's not just a shot.
What is it? Is it like, "Here's a shot, and also can I
Um,
give you a lap
it
dance?" Or
No, it's more like, "I'm gonna put it in a strategic place, and then you'll drink it out of that."
Oh,
Like a test tube shot in cleavage, basically.
okay. I thought they meant like they stuck it somewhere on you.
No, no, no. So, I mean, this was at the Pink Pony one, the more normal, strip
Mhm.
club, and I didn't know what was going on. I was just happened to be there with my friends, and this is a group, like, a evenly mixed group of, like, guys and gals, and a young woman comes up to me, and she wasn't, like, a dancer. She had the test tube shots. I was like, "Okay, I'll take a shot." My friends were really laughing at me.
Probably the look in your face was like,
Um,
"What's happening?"
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, yeah, I don't have any need to go back to one.
That's kinda how I feel.
I think I kind of agree with the way the story presented it. It's kind of feels like a depressing place to be. Like, everything is geared towards, like, extracting money from the people there. I don't know. It didn't feel like a great place to be, honestly. No disrespect
Um,
to the people working there. It's just not for me.
it's a bucket list thing, I guess.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience to do once.
Yeah.
Or I guess twice in my case.
Well, do you wanna rate the episode and wrap it up?
Well, I was gonna give the best background actor now to the other sister-in-law who had no lines. Can you imagine how weird it must be that I'd be the only person in the scene who has 0 lines and just does facial expressions? There's no other extras. like you just happen to be there and you're not saying anything. It feels like it's gotta be harder than like just being like a background to person building ground.
Yeah, you're right. This woman deserves an honorable mention.
And I wish we had her name so we could give her credit.
If you're out there, mysterious blonde woman, write us.
Did you have anything for that so much?
No, not for this one.
Okay, maybe go for the tobacco company because those are, well, I mean, they still exist, but like they're a lot less powerful these days. All right, so I guess I'll rate the episode. I give it 4 out of 5 turkey legs.
I agree. I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 7-layer salads. It
Yeah,
was
I mean, this
funny.
this was a solid episode. Yeah, and also I'm noticing neither of these 2 episodes have had a "this aged poorly."
Yeah, other than, like, a couple of the comments that Lily made, which if we hit that button every time Lily says something, like, we're gonna be here all day. No, everybody
Yeah.
was on their best behavior for the most part for these episodes. What I liked too was you had a lot of great humor packed into these 2 episodes, but, you
Uh,
also had some progression with the plot. Everybody communicated really well, at least at the end, and it pushed things forward really nicely.
yeah, yeah. We're moving along with William Marshall's relationship and William Marshall and Ted's relationship. I guess Barney and Robin are kind of just like in the background doing things in these 2 episodes.
Maybe that's why I didn't hate Ted as much. It was less of him. All right. Well, next week, what are our episodes, Nick?
Season 1, episode 10, The Pineapple Incident, and
I
season 1, episode 11, The Limo.
mean, I think we both know which is the better episode. Thanks for listening to Puzzles, a How I Met Your Mother Re-Rewatch.
Please subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app and follow us at Puzzles Re-Rewatch on Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also send us your thoughts, questions, and feedback to puzzlesrerewatch@gmail.com.
Leave us a review, or if you're not into the socials like yours truly, tell a friend about our show.
See you next time.